Let's discuss this with Spencer Critchley. He's a Democratic strategist joining us from Monterey, California. Spencer, thanks for coming onto the program.
My
The
pleasure.
Capitol Hill riots were this really seminal moment in U.S. history, unlike anything Americans have ever seen before, or that they thought could ever be seen in their country. Liz Cheney actually saying the incident left constitutional democracy at risk. Is this something you agree with?
Absolutely. It's hard to overstate the seriousness of that event and everything that led up to it. I think Chairman Thompson was exactly right when he summarized it by saying what this boils down to is an attempted coup, which is something we thought was close to impossible in the United States. Evidently not. And I thought Liz Cheney was especially effective in describing just the moral dimension of this. This is far beyond a political dispute, far beyond a legal dispute. This represents the potential moral collapse of our democracy, a failure of character on the part of not just the president, but everybody who collaborated with him. And we just have to be aware of that and alert and do the hard work of coming back from it. It's just an incredibly damaging event.
Spencer, but some Republicans are asking why this hearing even matters, why it's being made public, given that the United States is facing more serious issues like the rising cost of living.
There are no more serious issues than the potential collapse of American democracy, which is an existential crisis for the United States, and I would argue for the rest of the world, since the United States has long been an example of democracy, certainly not a perfect example, but the first successful modern democracy and the world's longest running experiment in democracy. This is just a transparent attempt at distraction, and it's the usual tactic by what I would say is a morally bankrupt Republican Party. I've long argued that we need a healthy Republican Party, despite my own status as a Democrat. We need to have that ongoing and, frankly, unending debate in the United States between the two fundamentally different views of how to interpret the Constitution. But what we don't need is what we have now, which is not a legitimate political party within a democracy anymore. It's essentially just a criminal gang. I don't think it's too strong a language to use in this case, whose only objective is the pursuit and maintenance of power.
Is this going to impact those upcoming midterm elections later this year?
It's very hard to say because part of what's been going on, and this has been happening now for decades, accelerating during the past 15 years or so, I would say, is really the destruction of what I refer to as the moral fiber of democracy and the descent into this engineered tribalism. The tribalistic division in this country is partly a result of historical developments, which I go into in my book dating back to the founding, but also they've been consciously exploited by an increasingly cynical and corrupt Republican Party. This is not to say the Democrats are without their faults, but the Republican Party now, in its present state, is entirely willing to destroy the fabric of democracy in the pursuit of power and in the pursuit of profits for the clients that it serves. So they've managed to destroy the trust in anything like objective information on the part of many of their voters, so that it really almost does not matter what kind of information comes out, because those voters have been taught not to trust anything other than what they hear from what
Mhm.
the Republican gang wants them to hear.
It'll be interesting to see how all of this is going to play out. Spencer Critchley, thank you so much.